No, it's not connection. Welcome back to Most Machant. We're just gonna roll. It's extreme. Extreme three-way dance. JT, Shetty, and Matt here. Going through the history of ECW with you. We started in February 1994. It's the most extreme and ultra violence you ever experience. North South Connection. We are simulcast on video, on YouTube, audio on all podcast applications. Some of our shows are. We have some unique audio only, video only. I'm sure check both of those out. Subscribe on social so you don't miss a thing. Doing kind of some short content, doing some long content. Just get on it. Let us know what you think. Participate, share, love, live, laugh. Flanagan way. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of laughing.
Is that Little John as well? I don't know.
What?
All right. Our last episode, we looked at Hardcore Heaven 1999. We're a little let down by it. We've had obviously some more things change. Some more things change in ECW, right? Every week is a new adventure. Shane Douglas is gone. Looks like Candido's gone. Taz is a man without a challenger. So we'll see. We got 9 weeks until Heatwave. So we'll see what they can cobble together here going to that show and see what they could pull up after kind of a weird build to Hardcore Heaven and then a very weird execution. Any quick thoughts before we dive in? We got 3 weeks of TV to cover here tonight.
Hopefully the world title situation gets better because good Christ.
Yeah.
I feel like we see Taz open up personality-wise on the sets of episodes. We'll talk about it.
Well, he had to do something, that's for sure.
That's what they gave him something to do, and he's doing it.
All right, May 22nd, 1999, Paulie Dangerously opens the show with a voiceover. It says, tonight we'll spend the night recapping Hardcore Heaven with some clips from the show. We then get our opening animation. Joey's in the nest. He sets up what's ahead. We get highlights from RVD and Jerry Lynn. Joey then talks about what we just saw, the toll it took on both men. RVD needed stitches, and by the next morning, his eyes had swelled shut. Lynn was laid out in the locker room by state athletic commission doctors who thought he had a cracked skull, and the whole roster was concerned. Lance Storm noticed blood trickling from Lynn's ear, which could be a sign of the cracked skull, and didn't wait for the ambulance. Instead, he loaded him in his car and drove him to the hospital himself. Joey was taken aback by the real-life actions of Storm, who was so humane, portrays himself as a really bad guy, but the story is the respect that Lynn and RVD earned by all that saw the match. And Jay, what did you think of this interesting tweak? We know ECW usually takes reality and kind of twists it a bit. So I'm assuming this is a real story. Storm noticed something off with Lynn instead of taking you to the hospital, and they decided to kind of make it into an angle here that we'll see goes forward. But what'd you think of it?
I love Joey's reaction to it. I love him going, this was very surprising. He seemed to have a newfound respect for Lance Storm after his heroic actions for Jerry Lynn. I would not be surprised if he was bleeding from the ear, considering how hard that he fucking fell on the floor. And then it makes me very worried for Jerry Lynn because now I'm afraid he has brain damage.
He probably already did, but yes.
I was going to say he probably already did, given all the matches he's had in ECW. But it is an interesting thing that they, like you said, they kind of just like every now and then you'll see ECW just bring like legit things into storylines, regardless of whether they're faces or heels. So I think this is another sign of that. Obviously, I think it's super interesting that it's with Lance Storm. So and good for Lance Storm for noticing the blood trickling out of his ears. Because
yes.
For fuck's sake, Jerry Lynn could be dead. For God's sake,
But Storm's a good one for it because knowing him, there's going to be some kind of interesting little play on it, right? Like he's going to take advantage somehow of what happens. So.
Right.
Kind of a fucked up thing to do ultimately, but a good guy thing to do in the moment, I guess.
Right.
That's how you do things.
He'll use it against him.
Alberta, Canada. We got highlights of Mahoney and Spike versus the Dudleys. Joey then resets and is back to a match from Queens for highlights of a brutal battle between Balls Mahoney and New Jack that was so violent it'll never air on TV. So it's really just highlights. We see Balls slaps out with a chair to a pop, usual rowdy Queens crowd for an all weapons legal street fight. New Jack follows out with his usual can of plunder. He ducks a punch, unloads with a crutch. We clip the Balls bouncing to the top for a frog splash. Now bleeding New Jack to a near fall. Clip to Jack in the balcony. Dives off onto the bloody Balls on a table. Balls rolls in, and New Jack follows slowly, but can barely move. He slowly crawls and covers, but only gets 2. We cut the Balls, catching New Jack on the top and hitting a nutcracker sweep on a road sign to win the match. Balls and Jack shake hands. Looked like a messy brawl, a nice win for the resurgent Balls here. So I thought it was fine. We didn't get more clips of Spike and Balls just for the Dudleys. But Matt, any thoughts on that little segment?
Resurgent Balls, you say? Looks like
Rocco's current band.
Yeah, he was fantastic in it. I saw him live once. But yeah, a typical weapons brawling stuff here. New Jack dropping a fucking elbow off the balcony into the crowd. That was a hell of a thing. But yeah, I mean, we've seen a million of these matches. Both these guys are fucking insane, as it turns out. But yeah, it was super fun what we saw, Jenny.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see more of this, but imagine jumping off the balcony and only getting 2 on that.
Right?
That's pretty great.
Well, it's become a transition move for New Jack.
It is. It's no longer a finisher.
Right. It's like how Luthez used an arm bar. New Jack uses a balcony dive.
What does New Jack have to jump off of to pin somebody? And then Balls turn around and win with the Nutcracker Suite. That's pretty good. So I enjoyed this.
I mean, they clearly try to elevate Balls. Like they're working on it
for
sure. Yeah, they're trying to move them up.
I've been trying to elevate Balls for years now.
Hey, now.
Can elevate and then drain. Steven Prazak is backstage, shares some post-show thoughts about how Hardcore Heaven was his favorite ECW pay-per-view and the things he saw backstage stood out. A collection of athletes that put their lives at risk for ECW. Give some examples. RVD missing chunks of his face. Jerry Lynn's busted nose. Taz bleeding profusely while clutching his world title. And Tommy Dreamer not being able to walk, crawling on his hands and knees to use the bathroom while having a splinter in his eye. Just another day in the office. In comes Steve Corino, calls him Prozac, which is great. Asked what the best part of the pay-per-view was. Prozac says the fact that you weren't on it. Corino says he kicked a lot of ass in the locker room and shows off his press credentials that he took from someone named Ron. They bicker a bit more, and Corino threatens his ass and tells him to take his glasses off. Corino cocks back and says, I'm tired of people not respecting me, and he's had it. Corino trips and falls and then storms off before he starts to cry. So I'm going to say it now. Jeff Jones, I have no problem hating. I'm going to have a hard time keeping up my vitriol towards Steve Corino as a person with how I'm like, he's a nice guy. He's just a head case. But he is a great character. He's a great character.
Yep.
Yeah, very Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
He's, very reminiscent of him. I like this, though. I like him calling him Prozac. That popped.
Yep,
that was awesome.
That was perfect. Because Prozac, he makes me irrationally angry every time he pops up on the screen. So Corino just giving him shit was just chef's kiss.
I mean, normally I would agree. I kind of liked Prozac in this because he was talking about stuff he saw backstage and the wrestlers, and I was kind of into that, like his thoughts on hardcore.
Has he become our longest running backstage voice? I feel like we bounced around so much. We never had a consistent one. We had Matty in the house for a while. We had Lance Wright for a bit. I mean, Gertner, I guess, kind of did it for a bit, before he went full Dudleys. There was someone else. There was another one in there too, but it feels like we've had Prozac now for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I didn't realize he had kind of been around for a while, but now that you say that, yeah, he has.
All right, we got highlights of Tommy Dreamer versus Lance Storm. Joey talks about Sabu's issues with the athletic commissions and the clips of putting Sid through the table. He also talks more about Storm Incredible having to deal with Sabu going forward. Backstage, Cyrus is with Storm, Incredible, and Jason. They say the higher-ups are saying this is the greatest tag team in wrestling. They're future champions. Storm says it's the truth, and everyone tries to stand in their way. The Dudleys avoid them like the plague, and all Tommy did was beat up a woman. Shane Douglas couldn't even show up, and they had to go get Sid. They sweat nobody. Incredible will take care of Sabu. Incredible says Sabu doesn't understand English. He isn't that smart, but he's finished and done at ECW and anywhere else in the U.S. as well. They had Sid beaten down, but Sabu rained on their parade, and they don't like it. They're the greatest team in wrestling. They're the next tag team champions. They do the little pose, and Cyrus says, I love that pose. And Jason says he taught it to them. I mean, these guys have great chemistry. I think they've come a long way. It was a great pairing. I think Storm helps Credible be more credible and can carry some of the talking. But Credible's good on his own, but I think Storm adds a lot to the package with the two of them together. So I like them as a unit. All right, Taz and Candido, and then and then Dudley's hit list. We get highlights of that. Joey's in the nest sends us back to the ECW arena, and we have our kind of one full match of the night, and that is Rob Van Dam taking on Skull Von Krush. This is from the week before Hardcore Heaven. So this is about a week old, this match. Von Krush is in the ring waiting for RVD, who heads down with the belt. And Fonzie, Joey wants to know what the new movement is and if Von Krush is actually German. Skull attacks RVD from behind during intros. He stomps away, slings him hard to the floor. He follows out, smacks him with a chair. RVD throws Skull into the fans, meets him with a springboard crossbody. The crowd is lit as RVD gets back in the ring, goes back out. Fonzie tosses a chair to Von Krush. RVD meets him with a Van Daminator. RVD chucks him back to ringside, follows a springboard Rana. Skull blocks and power bombs him with a concrete. We take a break. We come back. Skull slams RVD down, does a mock people stomp, and then rallies the crowd, who's all over him. Joey says Skull is a win away from being a main eventer. It's a bit much, although right now with the way they got
not wrong.
Yeah.
Skull unloads more punches. RVD dodges the charge, misses a top rope sidekick. Skull gets an inverted atomic drop into a super kick. He's feeling it. Skull stomps away as Joey says CCW fans have slowly started to appreciate Skull, just like they did Jerry Lynn. Skull gets a huge clothesline. He's flying high as Joey wonders if he's the next undiscovered talent waiting to explode. Skull buries a knee to cut off a comeback, snaps RVD over, drops a big leg for 2. Skull suplexes RVD, heads up top, gets a great big elbow for 2. Skull slams RVD, heads up top, and misses a frog splash. RVD rallies. We get Goldberg chants now. RVD sends Skull into a chair with a monkey flip for 2, hits his chair drop kick into a seated Skull for 2, followed by a rolling thunder for near fall. Skull dodges a Van Daminator. 2 of them actually. Snaps off a DDT, heads up top, but Fonzie shoves him and crotches him. RVD hits a super Van Daminator and finishes off to retain his belt with the 5-star frog splash. Joey wonders if RVD can possibly keep up this pace. And he reveals on the way out the door here that Heat Wave is on pay-per-view on July 18th. So this was shockingly feisty. The crowd was super into it. RVD is balling out, heavy offense, gave good offense, so they could build a little bit of story here with Skull. But I'll say this, like, this wasn't an RVD like carry job that he's done before. This was Skull in his bag. I mean, he had the crowd in him, in his corner, behind, I guess in his hometown area. A lot of Skull chants that he kind of, he fed off and got going as well. And just a good addition to break up the highlights in the pay-per-view. A lot of times these post pay-per-view weeks, we just get a bunch of recap stuff. So this was cool to get one match. It shows that RVD is a workhorse, that he had this match right on the doorstep of the Lynn match. The crowd was amazing. Just a fun pro wrestling match that overpunched its weight. Maybe Skull's something. Maybe it's a one-night anomaly. We'll see. But this is what they've excelled at, is filling out this mid-card with these guys.
Yep.
We just got to get them to the next level. But we're getting another guy into the mix, perhaps. So Jane with 3 1/4. This really surprised me with how good it was. Whether it was the crowd or just both guys feeling it, it just connected.
I totally agree. I've been a Skull fan since he debuted. I just want that on the record because I knew that he had matches like this in him. He looked great. Lots of chemistry there. He does his little, he has his own special swagger as much as RVD has the crowd. You do have your fans for Skull in this crowd, and you hear them, and it's nice. I really enjoyed it a lot. Nice title defense. Again, RVD just unbelievable. Like you said, it's not a carry job at all. And I was worried that it might be, but then I was absolutely not surprised that it wasn't, if that makes sense. So I actually really like this, and I kind of want to rate it higher, but I'm going to stick with my 3 1/4.
Yeah, I went 3 on it. Just a super fun match. Crush got Krush, excuse me, got a ton of shine here, which is by design, and it was great. Makes sense. He did get Skullberg chance at one point, which popped me.
I heard that. Yeah.
I thought it was Goldberg. Okay, Skullberg.
I mean, there may have been Goldberg chants too, but they were definitely like Skullberg chants. Which was fantastic. The power bomb he hit on RVD on the floor was disgusting,
great.
just brutal. So, yeah, super fun. I say throwaway, but I mean in a good way. Match to have on like a random post pay-per-view episode. Like, you don't expect to see a match. Usually these episodes are just highlights, so this was super fun and out of nowhere. So yeah, a hell of a showing for Krush here. So 3 stars.
And I was thinking for a minute that this was in Queens, which is why I kind of said like maybe it was like a hometown area, but I guess it's Philly, right? So it's weird because RVD out pops everyone, but suddenly on this night they're all behind Skull Van Crush. So I don't know if it was like like a game they were playing. Like they were just like, hey, fuck it, let's get behind this guy. If it was like an internet thing at the time, I don't remember really.
Yeah, who
It's
knows?
just an odd decision that they suddenly all rally behind this guy. And
It's not odd at all. It makes perfect sense to me.
it's against RVD. I think it's odd.
But still, this guy looks great. Like he looks like somebody who could beat RVD's ass,
Well,
and he does pretty well.
best match of the night, obviously, it's the only match. There's no moments, no most 90s.
No.
Incredible Storm, Corino, RVD, Skull, all look great.
Yep.
Final grade, I went 6.5 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty much a standard episode.
Yep.
We get a really good match, some pay-per-view fallout in highlight form, and then the incredible Storm stuff was pretty good.
Yep. Agree.
And Prozac.
And Prozac. Never forget Prozac.
All right, let's fast forward a week to May 29th, 1999. Cyrus is talking to a very buxom woman. He says, I got you a deal with the WWF, but this is more hardcore. And she says she can't wait to get extreme. And Cyrus says, did you speak to Paul yet? And she says, well, he won't return my calls. And he says, Paul's like that. Even though he does call him back. He calls me back, of course. And that Paul's a fitness fanatic, and he's always working out. And he really loves him. Folks come to the arena before the show and work out before the matches. They jog and run the stairs. And, of course, then we see her running around, bouncing all over the place. So just more Cyrus being Cyrus, I guess. And
those things are banned in 18 states.
Those things came through the screen and knocked me in the face.
Tit vision.
I didn't recognize her from WWF.
I was just gonna ask, who is this?
No idea.
Maybe it was like a developmental thing, girl from Canada or something that he brought in.
No girls are wrestling with that endowment.
They were in the Attitude Era.
Like not that much. This girl is not a wrestler.
No, she looked like someone took a bike pump to her tits and just kept pumping it.
It was a lot.
No.
I do like Cyrus kind of living in his own world, though. He's just trying to. It's like he's just trying to convince everyone. He's a little Costanza, sure. He's just trying to convince everyone that he works here, you know.
Yeah.
All right, we get our opening, but then he's also doing heel stuff. I don't know what he's doing. All right, we get our opening animation. Joey's in the nest. He's fired up. This is from Detroit this week, so we set up the night ahead, including the final tag team title match for Rotten Balls. Axel and Balls are backstage. Axel talks about trying to get the job done and finally beat the Dudleys for the gold and vow that tonight in the Motor City, they'll make it happen. Axel says if they win the titles, they'll bring the gold to Dalton, Georgia for their first defense. But if they lose, they'll have the most violent match ever seen in Dalton. So looks like Axel's back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like he was gone. Like we talked about a little bit at the pay-per-view, like because we had Spike show up and no Axel. So it felt like maybe they were done, but I guess they're back here for one more.
Who can say at this point?
All right, to the ring we go. More Rob Van Dam TV title on the line, taking on Spike Dudley. Here as the random parade of challengers continues. Spike marches to the ring. RVD's out at his hometown with Fonzie in the goal. Big pop. Ease into things as Joey notes RVD's eye cut is still healing. He could come into play tonight. Spike grabs a headlock into a schoolboy, gets a 1 count, then waves high at RVD as we reset. RVD hammers away. It's a gourd buster, plays to the fans. Spike rolls him up for 2. RVD kicks him down, stomps and punches away, and nails a perfect drop kick for 2. Spike trips up RVD, gets a brief flurry for near fall. RVD crotches Spike, drags him across the top rope, and Spike kicks him to the floor. RVD misses a baseball slide. Spike lands some punches. Fonzie kicks him, which allows RVD to attack from behind. Clubs away, cuts Spike down with a spin kick. RVD shoots Spike to the railing, dumps him across the railing, and mashes him with a guillotine leg drop to a pop. Fonzie throws a chair to Spike, and RVD meets him with a kick off the railing. RVD dips back inside. He plays to the fans and drags him back on the apron, cracks him with another guillotine for 2. Spike gets a victory roll for 2, but RVD pops right back up and kicks him down. Fonzie throws a chair in the ring. RVD drop kicks it to Spike's face, fires up the crowd, gets a top rope leg drop for 2, quit Tristan to a surfboard. We go to a break. We come back. They're battling on the top rope. Spike snaps RVD down onto a chair with a tornado DDT. Spike drives RVD to the chair again with a knee drop for 2. Takes RVD off the top of the Rana. Spike meets the champ with a rolling senton off the apron. Hits an acid drop that snaps RVD across the railing. Spike smacks RVD twice with a chair as we go back inside. Spike kicks RVD out of the corner. Gets a middle rope Rana for a near fall. Goes up top, and RVD kicks him in the head. Grabs a chair, places it down. RVD blocks a tornado DDT, but Spike drop kicks a chair into his face for 2. RVD blocks the acid drop, but Spike ducks a Van Daminator. He goes low. RVD counters another acid drop, throws Spike onto the chairs, gets 2 on a rolling thunder, puts him up top, hits a super Van Daminator, and finishes with an awesome 5-star frog splash, which Fonzie watches from a chair in the corner, which is a cool little finishing moment. Fun competitive semi-squash here. RVD gets time to show off his offense. Peacocks around for the hometown fans, but Spike gets a little offense, gets a little love, a little hope. RVD remains on fire. TV workhorse. Von Krush, Lynn, and this all back-to-backs. Great. I thought this was actually in line with last week's match. So we'll see where RVD goes from here. But Jenny went 3 1/4. I thought this was pretty much right in line with Skull from a week ago.
I kind of liked it a little bit more. So I did 3.5 on this fucking match. You know what? I don't care. I love Spike. He's so fun to watch. He had good near falls throughout this match. He kept trying for that acid drop too. Got 1 or 2 of them on him. Looked really good. The inverted surfboard on Spike looked really cool. And then there was a sweet tornado DDT on the chair by Spike that looks really cool. Yeah, they just brawl around, and then just Spike just does the Spike. Yeah. He just has that thing that I want to see. I just love him. I love this match. And then the combination of the top rope Van Daminator and the 5-star frog splash, it's just like the cherry on top. Like, you know, you're going to see it, and you know it's going to hit, and it's going to be awesome and a great finish. And it was.
It's become lethal. It's become a lethal combo.
Is. Yeah. It's like the whole match builds towards that finish for RVD. So, yeah, I loved this.
Yeah, I went 3.5 on it too. Just a super fun match. Crowd was red hot. Hometown crowd for RVD, just losing their minds for the entrance. I liked how they played into Spike being the ultimate underdog and still gave him a lot of shine too throughout the match with the near falls and all that stuff. RVD reversed an acid drop at one point, and he just pushes Spike off of him onto chairs. That was such a great spot. So yeah, Spike's awesome. RVD's awesome. And this was a hell of a TV match to throw out there. Just super fun stuff. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
All right, we stay right in the ring with our next match. Chris Chetty is taking on Lance Storm and the newly named Dawn Marie Bitch. So I think with Tammy gone and maybe the Beulah thing kind of moving away, so we find her name now will be Dawn Marie Bitch. She's in a neck brace, of course, after getting the pile driver at Hardcore Heaven. Storm riffs on the fans. He riffs on Detroit and Jerry Lynn. And Joey tells us the story again about Storm helping Lynn after the brutal match at Hardcore Heaven, and that Storm now thinks that Lynn owes him a favor. So, like we said, looks like we're going to get a little storyline aspect out of this. We start with some chain work. Dawn hooks Chetty's legs. That allows Storm to pepper away. It's a hard back elbow. Chetty comes rumbling back with a backdrop and a clothesline. Storm yanks Chetty out, shoots him to the railing. They throw down outside the ring until Storm shoves Chetty back in and kicks away. Chetty comes back with some chops. Storm cuts him off and tries to roll into the crab, but Chetty cradles for 2. Chetty gets a top rope sidekick for 2. Storm goes low, buries Chetty with a super kick, comes off the top of the spin kick, and gets the win. Another crisp match and win for Storm's flawless. I thought Chetty showed up pretty well here. The crowd was into it. Tight, effective as the act of Lance Storm, Dawn Marie, credible, Jason, and everyone else continues to grow. So 2 stars to me, Matt. Just a squash for Storm, but it was a competitive one.
Yeah, I went 2 stars on it too. I love how this somehow inexplicably had a 45-minute time limit according to the referee. Like, if I'm just gonna say it, if this went 45 minutes, I was gonna quit the podcast, guys. You were gonna be on your own. So, but just super weird. This of all matches is fucking 45 minutes long. Jesus Christ! But yeah, I mean, it was a fine squash for Storm. The super kick looked great as it always does. Chetty got a little bit of offense in, which was fine, but overall, I mean, it's basically just a squash. So 2 stars for me, Jenny.
Yeah, 2 stars. I think you guys said it all. The promo was good before the match, and poor Chetty. I mean, like, what's he gonna do? What is he just? Is he our?
I think this
is it for him.
Yeah. For now,
we'll see. I mean, at some point they should try and give him some kind of
that's what I was thinking.
Put him in a team or something. But then again, we do kind of need like these low end guys.
Losers,
not everyone can be. You kind of need it. This has been a tradition, right, since the Johnny Hotbody or whatever we had earlier on.
Damian Kane,
Broad Street Bully, all those guys in the early days. Stevie Richards was one in the early days.
Yeah. So 2 stars. Fine match.
Who was this guy? Shera, Keith and Kyle Shera, remember?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right, we got a slate dedicating this episode to the memory of Owen Hart. Of course, he had passed away just a week before us. It was May 23rd at Over the Edge. So, of course, a very sad stretch of time here in the world of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get our main event as the Dudley Boys defend yet again against Rotten Balls, Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney. Dudleys are in. This is it. If they lose, they're done. If they win, they take the title. So Dalton, Georgia. We're all champions when I go.
Mhm.
The Dudleys in there with Joel. He's got a full face cast on from the fire, but he mumbles to the intro anyway, which is really funny. Joey's like, I'm not sure how much of the fire caught Joel. Here we go. Ron Balls bounce out to a pop. They are ready to win or disband. Potentially bloody, violent breakup war on the line if they lose as well. So we'll see. After a break, Axel proclaims it's a Detroit street fight. And we get going with all four throwing down in the ring. Right to the floor we go, into the crowd. They walk brawl from there to the back of the building. Bubba smacks Balls into the railing, drags him up to the balcony. Bubba clubs away. Joey talks about the history of hate between these teams. The bloody Balls have been bruised and beaten, but rallies back. He bites Bubba. Axel and Devon fight through the crowd. All four head back down to ringside where Devon mashes Axel with a chair. Balls takes out Bubba and gets two on the floor as Devon chokes Axel in the ring. Bubba whacks Balls in the head with a chair, and then they fight back to the ring. Devon cuffs Axel to the rope as Balls hits a nutcracker sweet on Bubba, and then Devon as well. Sign Guy's in with a chair, as is Joel. Balls fights them off. Balls drinks lighter fluid and spews it at Sign Guy, catching half of his body. Devon then hits a slop drop, and Dudley's set up a table. They put thumbtacks on it. They douse the table with lighter fluid, set it ablaze, and power bomb Balls through the table. Rotten Balls is done with an emphatic throttling. Balls gets doused in soda by another ref. I'm assuming it was Fago for in Detroit. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
After the pin, the crowd is buzzing. The Dudleys leave. Axel's trying to break loose. Just a wild scene here. So, usual brawl with these guys. The crowd loved it, but the time has come for Rotten Balls to be done. So I'm okay with them being done. We need to refresh the division. The Dudleys need some strong challengers. That said, we'll see if more violence lays ahead. We'll see if we get this Axel Balls match from Dalton or not. But this is an all-time finish. I thought it was a good way to end Rotten Balls if we're going to do it, doing the fire table. Something they hadn't done is becomes an infamous ECW staple from here on out, especially with the Dudleys going forward and Balls going forward. So we haven't seen the last of the flaming table. Or this is really the first time they've done it with the Dudleys. So I went 2.5, Jenny. Again, it's more like moment the match to me with Rotten Balls ending and the flaming table coming into the picture. But the crowd buzz for the fire was great.
Yep.
It was great. Did you say Jenny or Maddie?
Both. Keith and Kyle
Okay.
Shearer. You go.
Anyway, yeah, I love Joel Mummy Gertner, and his face cast and his mumbling was fantastic. And the crowd brawling was good. Like, they went to a specific area. Like, they went through the crowd up to like above the entranceway. And I was like, are they jumping off that? But I got very concerned there for a minute, but then they came back down the stairs. This was cool. I like the fireball. I like the flaming table. I like the thumbtacks. That was very cool. So, like, yeah, I hate the Dudleys, but I'm fine if they do stuff like this. So, I'm very sad about the end of Rotten Balls because I love them both. And first Shane, now this. So, a lot of loss for me in these past couple episodes.
Well, they're at least not really going anywhere. I mean, Axel, I'm not sure. Balls is here till the end. So
okay, well, that's good at least. So I did 2 3/4 because I really like the fire. Matt?
Yeah, I went 2 3/4 for the same reason, the flaming table. What is the thought process one has to go through that makes you want to drink lighter fluid and then?
I think that's almost worse than getting thrown through fire.
Right, and then spit it at someone. Good Lord, like, what are you doing? I mean, it was very cool. Don't get me wrong, but holy Lord. So yeah, I went 2 3/4 before the flaming table spot. It was your standard stuff, but man, just another iconic spot for ECW with that flaming table. Just the crowd was electric for it, and Rotten Balls has been neutered. You guys, 2 3/4.
No. Sad.
Maybe it's not lighter fluid. Maybe some of the kind of like flash thing that you.
It could be vodka too. Could be
Yeah,
vodka.
it could be.
Yeah,
it's probably booze. It's probably not lighter fluid. We'll pretend it's lighter fluid though.
Yeah.
All right, best match of the night. I went RVD and Spike.
Yep.
And worst match, I went Chetty Storm.
Yep.
Best moment, I went the Dudley's fire table powerbomb.
For sure.
Yep.
Most 90s, I went. I mean, it's sad. Owen passing away.
No,
Oh no!
I mean, it's either that or it's Gertner looking like Hollow Man, one or the other.
He does look like Hollow Man.
Stock rising. I went RVD, Spike, and Storm.
Yep.
And then falling, I went Rotten Balls. I mean, burned,
Sad.
broken up, and left
Rotten Balls dropped.
Oh no.
All right, I dropped my grade. It's 7 out of 10. So I enjoyed it. Good episode. 3 good matches. Not a ton of big storyline advancement besides the Rotten Balls thing, but it was still like an exciting episode with some stuff going on.
Yeah, I did 7.5 on this one.
Yeah, I went 7.5 on it too. Great episode here.
All right, let's wrap up. June 5th, 1999. We open with highlights of the end of last week's show. We get our opening animation. Joey's in the Nest welcomes us to the second hour of television here tonight from Detroit. Hypes up what lies ahead and reminds us next week Axelrod and Balls Mahoney will go to war in Dalton, Georgia, as promised. We then get the setup for the first match. We cut outside where Cyrus is stalking down Steve Corino. Corino gives a great man when he sees him because he just knows he's getting set up for some bullshit. I think he was trying to hide from him. Corino says he doesn't want any more heat. Cyrus says we had fun on the beach. Cyrus says he's the director of talent relations, and he gives Corino credit for jumping on the Candido bandwagon just at the right moment. Corino has a Taz shirt on. He hypes him up, and Cyrus says Corino should be Taz's protege. Corino says he was going to shave his head and learn some new suplexes that he can't pronounce. And Cyrus says, well, you got the legs for it. Cyrus says Taz isn't here tonight. He's got heat at home over his head stitches, and Corino says he was going to take Taz to school and stretch him. Corino talks some shit, but Cyrus says they have another interview, and Paul's demanding Corino get to the front of the building. Corino runs off, saying he's getting a big push, and Cyrus calls him a stupid son of a bitch. A car comes screeching up, and Taz hops out, and he asks, Brother Cyrus, what's going on? Get in the car. We're going to have a talk. Cyrus is hesitant, but Taz tells him to buckle up. He pushes Charles, the cameraman, to get in as well. Taz gets in, tells Cyrus to put down the phone, and says everyone sees what Cyrus is doing, stirring the pot and stooging. Cyrus tries to clarify, but Taz says he has a problem, and Cyrus has an idea because he is the champion. Everyone backstage is talking and acting behind his back, and he needs someone to watch what's going on when he isn't around. And he wants Cyrus to do that, and they can work together, not as a manager. And Cyrus says, well, I'm a great manager. And Taz, yeah, you got those guys that are over big time, but I don't do well with managers. Taz says instead they can do business. And Cyrus says they can split expenses and share rooms. And Taz says, no, you just watch my back and keep eyes for me. Cyrus says Corino's a mark, but he's keeping him under his thumb. Taz says, keep monitoring him here in the Motor City. Taz says he's going to drop Cyrus back off where he was outside playing with himself and he can wrap things up. Cyrus says, I know you're a big ribber. And they shake hands and Cyrus hops out. Taz laughs. Cyrus gets out and Taz calls him a stupid son of a bitch and laughs as he drives off. So, I mean, this is pretty funny. Like I said earlier, Jenny, we're getting some new character development out of Taz. You know, for better or worse, you really got to like embrace, if you like this era, the insider stuff, the backstage stuff, talking about heat and pushes and pulling the curtain back. And that's just what this era is. So we're kind of twisting that way. ECW is always a little bit more on that razor thin line than most. But they're really leaning in now more as well, as that's just the way the wrestling business is going. But I very RSV-ish to this, Jenny. But I thought I thought Taz was really good, and Corino's all man was awesome.
Yes, it was, and just his whole spiel. He's trying to be Taz's young boy, but then like as soon as he gets the chance, he's like going in there, taking Taz's spot, so as it were. But he's scared shitless of him, which is hilarious. But Cyrus is annoying. I don't. What do you guys think about him? Like buddying up to Taz and then like being this manipulative to Corino.
I mean, he plays a slime ball very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's good so far. I mean, we haven't seen that much yet, but I think what we've seen so far has been pretty good just because he's so good at playing a dirtbag, you know? Because I think, honestly, I don't think it's that far off from how he is in real life, but...
Oh, okay. I don't know. It feels like it's like, I don't know. Like he's I don't know. I can't. I don't have an opinion yet about Cyrus. I know I hate him on commentary. I definitely have that opinion. But I don't know about this sort of thing. We'll see.
I mean, I like Cyrus. It's only, I mean, he's just good, but yes, it
Right.
depends. Again, your mileage is going to vary on the type of stuff that they're talking about and doing.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
he's just, his gimmick is a shit stirrer, right? He's brought in,
Yep.
he's and a little bit of it is at the time is he was known as like a heat magnet in the WWF, right? Like
Right.
he
Right.
kind of didn't make a lot of friends when he went in there as Jackal. He didn't super get over. Kind of was aimless, and I think he just didn't have the best reputation in there. So I
Right.
think they're playing off of that a little bit. That Cyrus is here, he's kind of a heat magnet in the industry, but instead he's trying to project that heat onto other people and stir the shit. So I think they're just trying to lean into the rumors of what he had going on when he was at the WWF. But again, you have to like be into that era and that style of insider shit to really get into this.
Right.
And I think his level of shit stirring is not good enough yet to be called a shit
Right.
stirrer, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like he's fucking around with Carino, like he's not, and like he's gonna end up being Taz's bitch. So like,
Well, but he was with the Credible and Storm stuff too. Remember, he was part of that beatdown, so he's kind of all over. He's kind of got his hands in everything.
Yeah.
but it's sort of weak hands. It's like
Yeah.
behind the scenes sort of.
Oh, he's a manipulator, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his whole gimmick in WWF too was that he was like a David Koresh kind of guy, right? That was his whole gimmick
Oh,
there. So I think
God.
he's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think he's meant to be like a mind games and kind of a cultish guy who's like fucks with people. So I think to try to do it, he's just a little bit goofier here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
the
we'll see.
goofiness. Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, I enjoyed this segment overall. I think Corino has been the biggest surprise to me, just how good he is right out of the gate since he's
Yeah, he's
debuted.
good.
Like the stuff where he's like, "Oh, I was gonna take Taz to school tonight, but he's not here." It's just like the
Yeah.
stuff like that, and it's his voice too. He's got that like whiny voice too. It's just
Yeah.
it's fucking perfect for his character. So I enjoy this triple threat of con jobs and fuckery that's going around here.
And Taz, like, really was like, it's sort of a different side of Taz.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, they did a good job too, like not burying Carino too much as a jobber before they lit this up.
Mhm.
So he doesn't have a lot to overcome. A little bit, like he kind of got made to look like a little bit of a goof, but not much.
Right.
So they didn't have to like really rehab him as like, oh, he was like a job guy for a year or whatever. Like Stevie kind of needed a little rehab at first. He had the goof shit going on for a while because he was kind of just a pushover for a bit. Even Mikey a little bit took a little bit of time. He was fluky for a while, right? So we'll see. All right, back to where we go is Nova is here. I haven't seen him in a minute. He is taking on Little Guido, which means it is time for the Italian tradition of the week. All right, this week's tradition, we're going to head to the dance floor for a little traditional Italian dance known as the Tarantella.
Quentin Tarantella.
I've definitely heard of this before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard the song
Yeah.
a million times, if not on Curb Your Enthusiasm or something.
Right.
Else, but, I mean, yes, it's a pretty famous Italian dance. Pronounced, of course, Tarantella. Group of various southern Italian folk dances originated in the regions of Calabria, Campania, and Puglia. Characterized as a fast, upbeat tempo, usually in time, accompanied by tambourines. Among the most recognized forms of traditional southern Italian music. Specific dance name varies with every region. And is, of course, popular in southern Italy, Greece, Malta, and Argentina. So you'll see this too a lot of like Greek festivals as well, the Tarantella. So it's a pretty you'll see it at all Italian weddings and shit too going on. So, but you should know the song. It's in a lot of Italian movies.
Yeah.
I don't think this is quite the dance that Furio and Carmelo are doing, but it's along the same line as the
I think Inglourious Bastards is my favorite Tarantella movie myself.
I mean, Reservoir Dogs is up there.
And Reservoir Dogs is very good, yeah. Pulp Fiction. Not the
Pizza Boy,
ECW one.
Say
Kill
Pizza.
Bill Volume 1.
Yeah.
Beats it by about a foot, probably. All right, we come from
Hey.
Taz laughing
Oh.
to the ring, where Nova slinging Guido to the railing. Nova hammers on Guido against the rail, shoots him back inside. Guido cuts him down. With a clothesline, it pops up, it gets crotched. Nova splashes him in the corner, stomps away. Nova tries an Emerald Fusion, but Sal hooks his foot. Guido lands a sharp elbow to the nose, hits a Sicilian slice. Nova gets an inside cradle, but Sal has the ref. Guido survives. Guido snaps Nova down with the Fujiwara. Nova goes to the ropes. Guido stomps away, hits a front leg sweep for 2, goes to the middle rope, but Nova catches him, hits a reverse electric chair, but Big Sal makes a save. Nova bickers with Sal. Guido shoves him off the apron to the railing. Sal puts Nova on a table, gets on the apron, and mashes him through with an elbow to a big pop. Sal throws Nova back inside, and Guido twists into the Sicilian crab and gets the win. Guido won't release, so out comes Tajiri, kicks Guido in the head. Sal gets in, and Tajiri kicks his knees, and he crumbles. And then Taz hits a low drop kick. This is a fun match, a little disjointed. Kind of didn't have the usual chemistry, seemed a little rushed. But I thought the finish was great, and it gives Tajiri something new, perhaps. Coming off, of course, the pay-per-view. They had the fight, so we'll see if they maybe get to a little bit more of a feud than versus just a match. So 2.25 for me, Matt. Just a standard little match between these guys, but I dig the new FBI. I think Sal's awesome as a second. You would think he's just like, we've had a kind of random fat bodies out there for the FBI sometimes that it's like sit around. But Sal's been really active, which is kind of cool. Like he's involved in all these matches. So I think him and Guido is a cool little pairing. And I liked them in this match. And Nova was fine too.
Yeah, I went 2.5 on this. Hey, we're getting kind of a story thing with Tajiri, which is a thing I've been wanting. So that's a positive. And how does Sal not kill anybody by putting all these people through tables? Like, especially Nova. He's compared to Sal, he's a very small dude. Like one fell swoop, like he could just fucking crush that man's spine or something. So he's super impressive, but Jesus fuck. But yeah, the match itself was totally fine. 2.5 for me, and glad we're getting some storyline stuff with Tajiri. Jenny,
Very lively match. I really liked it. It's 2.5 for me. That seeing Big Sal drop an elbow through the table is pretty fucking fun. He's a little bit more spry than I would think for a 600-pound man.
Yeah.
But he does well, and him and Guido really are rocking this new FBI and doing a great job. Like Guido having banger matches, having great matches, and then maybe a feud with Tajiri now. So that could lead to some really cool stuff. So we'll see. And
like we could get the tarantula versus the.
I do kind of miss the comedic side of the FBI, but
there's still a little bit of it in there, just because I think if you do the Italian stereotype right, it's just comedic by nature. I mean, again, not to reference The Sopranos again, but even stuff like that, like, can be funny because it's so ridiculous. So I think even in the seriousness, there's still some goofiness. Now, it's not like that really funny stuff like we used to get with JT Smith and Tommy Rich and some others and all those guys, but it's better for Guido. I'll say that.
It is.
Yep.
Now I want a shirt that says Tarantula versus Tarantella.
I mean, you could probably make that happen.
I mean, I don't want to do it. I want someone to make it for me.
I see. Yeah. Well,
Paul narrates highlights of the ongoing feud between Super Crazy and Taka Michinoku. Joey says, in the nest, they'll battle again tonight, and reluctantly sends us to check on Corino. Corino's in the back. He's getting his gear together. He's putting FTW stickers all over his luggage. Cyrus is in. He says, Taz probably wouldn't even see tonight's TV for a month. So Corino should just be Taz for the night, because Taz loves that stuff. Corino pulls out a white towel, puts it over his head. He mimics Taz. Cyrus hypes him up some more, tells him, go get yourself over. Joey's in the nest and recaps the history between Taz and Corino, including Candido returning, getting destroyed. And he tries to piece this together, but just lands on one fact. The Steve Corino seems to be a moron.
You don't
to the ring we go. Super Crazy is taking on Taka Michinoku in a pay-per-view rematch. Crazy gets a huge pop. The crowd's all over Taka. We eased in with a lockup. We get a Taka shoulder block and a hard chop. Crazy floats Taka to the floor with a charge and then misses the baseball side before barreling into Taka with an Asai moonsault. Crazy shoves Taka back inside. It's a clothesline. 10 punches, but Taka walks out with the snake eyes. He drop kicks Crazy in the back of the head, slams and follows with a pair of double stomps into a senton. Taka keeps pouring it on, but Crazy gets a swinging DDT for 2. Crazy stomps and chokes away at Taka, gets a second row moonsault for 2. Crazy puts Taka up top. Taka smacks him in the air. It's a tornado DDT. Gets another one for close near fall. Taka bitches to the ref, and Crazy floats over Taka and hits a suplex for 2. Taka comes right back with a Rana for 2, slams Crazy, goes up top, and this is a corkscrew senton. Crazy quickly follows with a moonsault, hits another one. Taka gets the knees up. Taka slugs down Crazy. It's a spin kick in the corner, a springboard spin heel kick as he's running hot. Crazy floats out of the Michinoku driver. Taka slips out of a powerbomb. Crazy comes back with a DDT, and it's a powerbomb to win the match. Super hot again. I thought just a slight step behind the pay-per-view, but the pace is intense as always. These guys are building some sweet chemistry. I love Taka at ECW here so far. I think he's been great. Crazy keeps rolling as well. Strong TV outing, Jenny. 3.25 for me.
Yeah, I mean, you said it all. It's like it's so cool to watch these guys fight, and Taka is just so he's just so cocky, so attitudinal in the ring, and then it just loses.
Yeah.
uh, but it's so great. I like the pace here. It seemed a little bit faster than what we had last time. Great impactful moves. Just entertaining as hell to watch. 3 stars.
Yeah, I went 3 stars on it too, just a notch below the pay-per-view. Both these guys just so fucking good. And I know I've been complaining about more of the international dream matches, doing more, but I don't mind it here because this is basically like a house show. Like, throw this on a house show, it's totally fine here. Like, it's still a great match, just trading holds back and forth. That one spot where they're trading like the small packages was just really well done. Crazy's powerbomb always looks great. So yeah, another great match for Super Crazy on TV. So 3 stars.
His moonsaults have really risen to the top of my personal list of people I love to watch do moonsaults. So.
Yeah, they're amazing. Cyrus on his cell phone backstage is laughing, and Joey wonders who's he stooging off now. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. He's calling Taz.
Yep.
To the ring we go. Is Steve Corino is going to take on Pablo Marquez. Corino comes out. He's got Taz's music. He's got the towel. Joey says Corino's an idiot. Doesn't even realize he's being set up. Paul E narrates a quick video about the relationship between Cyrus and Corino. We come back. Corino's dominating with a powerbomb and some punches. Marquez rallies back, but Corino quickly takes over the sit-out gourd buster. Corino gets a T-bone, does a Taz pose, and backstage Cyrus is banging on Taz's door. And he says, that stupid son of a bitch Corino is mimicking you. Taz is pissed. He storms out and tells Cyrus to watch the locker room. And that's it. We'll get to what happens next in a second. More of a segment than a match. Big Stevie vibes again from Corino here. And of course, just kind of hanging on to things. So what'd you think of this? Either one of you, whoever wants to take it.
He looks like Stevie Richards in the damn ring. Like, I mean, it's absolutely kind of really mimicking him a lot here, and just as dumb as Stevie was as well.
It was super entertaining, just him mimicking Taz. Like, it's like he's a too stupid for his own good type of thing. Like, he's fucking with Taz. Taz would murder you in like 50. If he beat Candido in a minute and a half, he's gonna beat you in 10 seconds. Like, it's super entertaining. This Corino too dumb for his own good type of gimmicks. It's super fun to watch.
But the cool thing is there's like just enough to it where you wonder, like, is he actually playing ahead of the game a little bit? Because things keep unfolding. That's like, all right. Every time he kind of has a trick up his sleeve. So it's like, is he really being stooged by Cyrus, or does he know Cyrus is setting him up and he's playing them? Because it's kind of presented that way at times. So we'll see. Jenny, what are you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say Taz asking him to watch the locker room was real fun.
That was funny too. All right, so Taz's music hits. He stomps to the ring. Corino's panicking. Joey says Cyrus is passing all his heat onto Corino, who's now the carrier. Taz stalks Corino. He grabs the mic and begs off, tries to explain himself. He asks for mercy. Says he meant no disrespect. The crowd wants death. Corino starts saying his appendix is acting up, and Taz can't hurt a crippled man. Corino says his best friend is going to come kick Taz's ass to become the new world champion, and he calls for Chris Candido. Corino scampers to the floor. And another guy just won't die. Candido's back. I thought he was done, but he's here. Heads out solo. Grabs the mic. He rips Taz at his actions at the pay-per-view. Rambles about what actually cost on the pay-per-view. Says the Dudleys were eyeing up Tammy. He got distracted. Candido says he carried Smoky Mountain and then he watched it close and he left. He elevated the NWA title. He made it to WrestleMania. And now he wants Taz to put the belt on the line in a fair match tonight. Taz wants to know why Candido's so hot. And he gives him the match with the backing of the fans. Matt, I don't know how Candido's still fucking hanging on, but here we are.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, hopefully this is it, because, like, this is, like, one thing too many here. Like, the pay-per-view should have been it. He fucking killed him in a minute and a half. Like, why are we... And, I mean, I get this is a house show, but you're still showing it on fucking TV. Well, what are we... Like, there's no reason for this to be here. What are we doing?
Yeah, no, this looked really bad. I mean, Carino like begging for his life in the ring was pretty funny. I kind of like
But
that,
again, he's got a plan. So it's like,
yeah,
so
he's
Right.
not
he
taking
knew
this
Taz was
shit.
coming. Right.
Yeah.
He knew Taz was coming. All right. So rematch for the pay-per-view. Taz versus Chris Candido. Taz hits him with the belt. Candido bails out. Taz follows and hammers away. Throws him into the post, into the railing, into the crowd. Back inside, Candido gets a few kicks in the lower back. He slugs away into a suplex. Candido goes up. Taz catches him into a belly-to-belly. Candido goes to the eyes and chops away, but Taz levels him with a clothesline. Taz puts Candido up top. It's a super belly-to-belly into a T-bone, into a Taz mission for the tap-out. Candido's washed, squash shitty. Taz just continues to own this man. I would start a half for diminishing squash results, Jenny, but we just gotta be done here at some point.
My notes for this match include Taz just murders Chris Candido. He taps 1 star.
That's it.
I mean, I went 1.5 stars on it. I do like seeing Taz murder people, but we've already seen Taz murder Candido at least once. So, I mean, yeah, we need to move on from this. So, I mean, 1.5 stars.
It wasn't like Taz Shane that kind of deserved the big rematch.
Right.
Candido
No.
didn't
Not
need
even close.
this.
No.
So like we're flying him into Detroit just to get waxed again. I don't know.
No.
We'll see. Maybe this is it. We say it every time, but maybe this is it.
Who knows?
Backstage, Taz walks to the curtain. He talks to Cyrus. Says, "Thanks for stooging and buzzing him." Cyrus says, "Tremendous match, champ." Paul tells Taz it was a great match. Taz and Cyrus both call each other "stupid son of a bitch" from opposite sides of the curtain. So it's kind of been the phrase of the night, I guess, with these two.
Yeah.
Stupid son of a bitch.
Joey's in the nest. He pieces together this big puzzle of Taz and Cyrus running cons. One just says, "Carino's an idiot." But Cyrus is now the one getting the heat for Carino's actions, and everyone else takes Carino's ass kicking. So maybe Carino just wants everyone else eliminated until Taz demands him in the ring, and suddenly he gets a main event match at age 24 and 4 months in. So maybe Joey's picking up to what I was kind of.
Joey was like 1 step away from having red yarn and corkboard trying to piece everything together.
All right, Joey turns to Just Incredible, how he got Sabu suspended and he can't appear in his hometown tonight. Joey's working hard. He's all over the place with the theories.
Yeah, he is.
Jason is out with Just Incredible. He grabs the mic. He says he ran Sid out of town on pay-per-view and then came to Detroit to face the nephew of the Sheik and kick his ass, but Sabu's banned. He's not going to be here tonight, and he wanted to cane the crap out of him like he did before. Incredible calls Sabu a pussy and says he guesses the people won't get to see him get his ass kicked. Ref A.T. Huff is in the ring. Incredible demands to know why he's here. Huff says Sabu's been banned by the New York State Athletic Commission, but that ban covers the entire continental United States. But this is Detroit, which apparently is not the continental United States.
News to me.
He's assigned by the Michigan State Athletic Commission, and he doesn't care what they say in New York. And Just Incredible may have to wrestle Sabu in New York, Philly, or on pay-per-view, but his ass is going to wrestle Sabu tonight. And they got the big pop. Out comes Sabu with Fonzie. Incredible and Jason complain to security. They demand Sabu be removed. Huff is playing it up. He won't back down. We get intros as Joey says Huff is risking his referee license with this move. The crowd is hyped for Sabu as Incredible stalks ringside, not getting in the ring. Before the match starts, we get a flurry of officials. Jim Molyneux says the match cannot happen. Sabu is banned. It cannot work tonight. The refs and Fonzie bicker as Sabu stomps around. Molyneux asks Michigan State referee Mr. Nixon to usher Sabu to the back, but Sabu slugs him, and Joey says Mr. Nixon just got impeached. Nixon lands on the table. Sabu buries him with a slingshot. Joey says this is like Watergate all over again, and they might have to burn the tapes. He just wants to get all these jokes in.
Yeah.
Incredible's in the ring. He whacks Sabu with the cane. Officials break them up. Sid's still here, I guess, and we fade out. I don't know. I guess they would keeping these guys. I don't know how close Poughkeepsie is to Detroit. Maybe this brought him in. I don't know.
Is Poughkeepsie in the continental U.S. at this point?
I'm going to look up how far apart they are. That's it for the show. Great heat on the whole thing, though. I mean, it was a nicely done segment, especially in Detroit. There's perfect place for Sabu. They needed to have him, so Sid was a nice surprise. We'll see Sabu Incredible at some point. Great ending to the episode. A lot of progression. They put a lot into this episode. Like a lot happened, and Detroit's been a big town for them. They've had a lot of stuff happen here, so it rolls on.
Yeah, Sabu, how is he even wrestling? Because it wasn't that long ago where his jaw was falling off.
Right.
So like I thought he was gonna take a break at some point, and that's why he was banned and all of this. But no, we're not doing any of that. We're just gonna continue to break our body with
Mhm.
tables and canes. So that's fine. This was a mess, but it was a fun mess. I couldn't believe when Sid came out. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Or we're not building toward a Sid and Sabu match, are we?" Because I don't know if I can
It
handle
feels like maybe they are a little bit
Yeah.
coming off the pay-per-view, but I don't know if we're gonna get it or not. I don't know if Sid stays around. I don't know what's going on. The whole thing is
At this point, I have no idea what's going on with Sid. I'm with you. Like, I thought for sure his send off was at the pay per view, and then he just randomly shows up at the end of the episode, and then the episode just fades, and we have no fucking answers as to why Sid is here. So at the end segment here was a mess, especially the Detroit referee just whipping his dick out and saying, "I'm the
Yeah, that was
authority here."
awesome.
That was hysterical, but it was an entertaining mess at the end of this episode, I'll say.
I don't know. AT Huff doing it was kind of weird though. Like he's an ECW rep. It felt like
Oh,
they
it
could
was
have found a
very
better,
weird.
maybe a better loophole. Maybe they could have said like Detroit's basically to Toronto, so we signed paperwork over the border. I don't know. Maybe they could have done something like that. I don't know
Jack
if that's any
Tunney
better or
shows
not.
up and does something.
Yeah. But I mean, again, they had to do something with Sabu in his hometown.
Yeah.
We get the Mr. Nixon jokes. So whatever, we'll see. We'll see if these guys stick around. It is 10 hours drive from Poughkeepsie, so they obviously had plans. Then it wasn't just like they were down the street and
Right.
they had him pop
Yeah,
in. So
yeah. No.
all right, best match of the night. I went Crazy and Taka.
Yes.
Yep.
Worst match. I went Corino and Marquez.
Yeah, I think that was a 0 for me.
Yeah. Yep.
Best moment. I went with the Joyride. Taz and Cyrus take
Yep.
at the end of the episode.
Yep. It's got to be.
Most 90s. Cyrus's cell phone. It was very the old school cell phone. Rising. I went Cyrus, Corino, Crazy, Taz, Taka.
The referee at the end. I mean,
AT. Falling. I went Candido forever. Marquez and
well,
Nixon.
if there's a joke somewhere in
Nixon.
there, but
Mr. Nixon. I was 7 out of 10. Again, a very good episode. A lot went on. We didn't really get that marquee match, but at least a lot of storyline stuff happened in this episode, and a lot of it was entertaining. So
Agreed. 7 out of 10.
yeah, the story stuff was great. The Taz stuff and driving a fucking Cadillac around was just hysterical, and the ending was a great mess. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
You think Taz really drives that Cadillac?
yeah, it was a rental.
It's a rental?
It's not driving to Detroit. Maybe he is from Red Hook. I don't know. It's probably
Yeah.
about the same.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We got 3 more weeks of television. We got 6 total before Heat Wave. So we didn't really get any shape up for the pay-per-view just yet. So we'll see if our next batch brings us closer to that. Besides that, subscribe to everything here at No Stop Connection, YouTube, Podbean, or any podcatcher app, and social media. Stay extreme. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Take care. Thanks for listening. Dance your heart out. Live